Hi, I'm Matt from the Amazons, and you're watching Gigs with Glenn.
We're joined here with alternative rock icon Matt from the Amazons. It's great to be here.
Alternative rock icon.
That's what you are.
All
yeah?
right, I'll take it.
Alternative rock icon.
I'll take that, man.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Would you describe the Amazons music as alternative rock? Is that what you classify your style as?
Yeah, we've always found it hard to find a home. Some people don't want to be put in a box.
Yeah.
We trying to find a box. We're trying to find a home.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we've been too soft for like the heavier scene, or we've been a little too hard and heavy for like the indie scene.
Okay.
So when we announced our tour recently, a lot of like indie darlings or indie titans or whatever they kind of like the promoters were saying or the venues were saying in their messaging just doesn't feel right, does it?
Yeah.
Alternative rock, I think that's a big enough umbrella that we can fit under.
I think it sets the Amazons nicely.
Yeah.
It fits.
We'll take it, yeah.
So we're going to start off with a question: what inspires the Amazons music?
Well, that's something that is grown and changed over the years and over our albums. But I guess there are some elements that have stayed the same. I think we've got a shared love of the bands that we were into in our formative years. So like Nirvana, Radiohead. I personally loved Led Zeppelin growing up, Bruce Springsteen. But I think this record we've enjoyed digging into references and influences outside of just music. There's been a lot of literature and films and theatre and stuff that we've drawn inspiration from.
So can you tell us a bit more about that actually? Like what films? I'm a big film guy. I'm looking to study film and music at university.
Have you got Letterboxd?
I do have Letterboxd.
Yeah, I'll have to follow you after this.
That's cool. So what type of films do you like? What inspires the music?
It's more like I really like the myth making of like some of the earlier golden age Hollywood stars. So like I've been kind of going down a very deep Marilyn Monroe rabbit hole.
All right.
And not just watching her films, but like reading biographies and watching documentaries and things like that. Because what interests me most about her initially was her star power and where that comes from, and like where does that radiate from, and how much of it is the audience doing the work, and how much of it is actually within her control. And from actually studying up on her a little bit more, a lot of it is self-created. So her name being, she was christened Norma Jean.
Okay.
And then through a slightly lengthy process of essentially self-creation, she came into Marilyn Monroe, but it wasn't for another year or two that she grew into the Marilyn Monroe that we know today. So it was all sorts of things from acting classes to styling and working on her hair and very early forms of plastic surgery.
Okay.
And building a persona that would carry on into her films. So I've kind of really been interested in that and how it aligns and correlates with the self-creation that we all do naturally every day, and the different roles or personas that we put on when it comes to different like social situations. Like you are going to be acting slightly differently with me than your mum or your best friends or a stranger on the street. I find that interesting, and I don't think it's inauthentic or ingenuine. I think it's just prioritizing different parts of ourselves and expressing them where appropriate. So that sort of thing I've been really interested in, and I think it's informed the music, or at least informed the world of 21st century fiction. But so much of this stuff is like you consume as much as you possibly can, and it's really not up to you what is regurgitated out. You just prioritize consumption, and then the art kind of takes care of itself.
It comes naturally. We're getting deep 5 minutes in already. This is interesting. Well, that's sort of what inspires the music then, as the Amazons. Lots of consumption of media, learning about other people, and doing what flows naturally. And
it's less about what inspires the Amazons specifically, or it's like we don't really approach it in that kind of limited framework. We just approach it in like, I consume and the boys consume art and music and all that kind of stuff, and we kind of get together and make music, and then I guess it does kind of come under that umbrella but there's of the Amazons, but there's so much other things that we've done creatively that just don't really fit within the Amazons framework anyway. It's just we're just trying to keep it as fluid and as non-restrictive as possible.
Interesting. I would like you to hear more about the process of recording the new album, 21st Century Fiction, which, as of the time of recording this, is out at midnight tonight. So it's the 8th of March today, and it's on the 9th. 21st Century Fiction will be out, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. So talk to us about the process of recording it.
It mostly happened over last summer.
Okay.
And most of the time was spent between 3 studios, one being a converted Methodist church just outside of Hereford called Chapel Lane Studios, and that was primarily with our producer Pete, and I would say he produced about 70-80% of the record.
Right.
And then we spent some time at Real World Studios just outside of Bath with Catherine Marks, and Real World Studios is a really beautiful structure that is owned by Peter Gabriel of Genesis, and of course of his own solo fame. A lot of our favorite records have been made there in recent times, like the 1975 did their new record there, and who else? Harry Styles has done some work there as well. So it felt like we were tapping into a space that was being engaged with by artists we really respect and admire. So there was an energy about the place that we really enjoyed. It was almost like we had to meet the moment of being there, which was a challenge we set ourselves ultimately. And then the last place that we recorded was Raw Blood's essentially their home studio in Sussex, which was a really beautiful studio, and
very cool to be there.
It was cool, it was really cool, and to just tap into their space and kind of get, I mean, I'm as big a fan as anyone else, so I was just curious to see what it was like behind the scenes, and just to see like Mike's bass collection and his piano.
Are they all framed on the wall?
Yeah,
that's it.
And he was really gracious and generous of just letting us pick anything up that we wanted, playing with it, and just to see Ben lay down drums in his space where he does it usually it was cool. It was a great experience.
He's a talented man.
Oh, blockbuster drummer. Seriously,
he's awesome. What should we expect from your upcoming tour? So we're on the tour just now for in-store signings and performances, and then in autumn this year, October and November, we have 21st Century Fiction Tour. So what should we be expecting from both of them?
Yeah, I think we're in a process of kind of discovering what the next phase of Amazon's live shows are going to look like. I think we've always searched for more, and we've always wanted to be seen as a live act, you know, that can put on shows that are worth going to see multiple times and that are ever changing. It really bothers me when I see an act between an album 2 or album 4 and they haven't really changed, or they're doing the exact same, or the songs are arranged in the same way. I love the idea that we're on a journey with our audience, and the black magic that you hear in 2017 will be different from the black magic that you hear in 2025.
Yeah, you get alternate versions kind of.
Exactly. But the trick is, for me, as a fan of music myself and live music, is to not arrange it to the point where it's unrecognizable.
Yeah.
The benchmark is that it has to be as good as the record.
Okay.
And then you build off of that. And what we love to do is kind of extend parts and just keep be reactive and have an element of spontaneity to the live shows.
Definitely.
Which I think is really important. So we're in the process of working out what the tour is going to be like, but I know that our principles remain the same. It's going to be high energy.
Yep.
It's going to be hopefully incredibly cathartic for everyone in the room, and hopefully incredibly communal, because what's the point otherwise? It's not the Amazons play our show and it's cold and it's time coded. I want it to feel like we become one big entity at the end of the shows, right?
Yeah, you're part of the fan base.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So
and those are my favorite shows.
They're your favorite shows?
Yeah, when you feel like you're at one with the band and the audience, and you're both going somewhere.
Yeah.
like a
Together.
different dimension. Yes, 100%.
So what you're trying to say, it's going to be awesome. You're going to need to be there. You're going to need to be there.
Yeah.
We'll also talk about the return of the Amazons at Glastonbury. We've had a previous set at Glastonbury, 2017. Now 2025, 8 years later, we're going back. Buzzing?
Beyond. We're so excited. I think I said on socials that when we played in 2017, I think we left the stage wanting a little bit more from ourselves.
Okay.
And I've kind of gone past like self-scolding or like being too angry with ourselves and being a bit more understanding that we were like straight out of, we barely toured, we had like no setup, there was no crew in which to like troubleshoot or like to create an experience for us that was, you know, simple and easy. That's what you want out of. So why would we have a guitar tech, a tour manager? It's because you want to take all of the stress off everything else, the logistics and stuff, to put on a great show.
Exactly.
We didn't have any of that. We're trying to make the most of these opportunities with essentially like a driver, and we were just there. I just felt like we didn't have the experience or the resources to make the most of the opportunity ultimately. And I've always, like every time since I've seen a Glastonbury lineup without us on it, it's like a dagger in the heart. And I just wanted a shot at redemption.
I know you've got it.
And now we've got it.
Taking it.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Feels really good. And I just know that like we could put like a very solid performance in now with all the experience and the vision and the execution that we're able to pull off now, and just blow our previous selves out of the water ultimately. So I feel confident, I'm comfortable, I'm really happy.
I'm excited to see that then. We mentioned earlier Royal Blood and being at the studio. You guys have supported Royal Blood on their tour. What's that like playing with them? Because I'm a big fan of Royal Blood. So
we played we were driving past the Hydro in Glasgow today en route to Strip Joint and reminiscing about the show. I think that was one of the last shows. That one or Lee's was the last show on that tour. You get your ass handed to you every night by those guys. Like you come off like that was a great gig, and then you watch them like, fuck. That was a really great time. It was the first tour that we'd done since COVID. Okay. So a little bit overwhelming in the beginning.
The comeback.
Like to see that many people in the same room at that time was like.
Watching you guys.
Yeah, it's like I was happy, but I was also like anxious because it was like fucking hell. Like I've been in a loft in Brighton for about a year before we even went back on tour. No, it was amazing. Without that tour, we wouldn't have had a relationship where we could go in the studio. So very happy.
So it changed a lot for the Amazons.
Yeah, it did actually.
That's good.
It did. Yeah.
And you guys are friendly with them, aren't you? You're good friends with them.
Yeah, I would say Mike especially is a kind of a mentor, to be fair. He's a few years old. He's not too much older than me, basically. A few years. But obviously his experience over the last decade has been phenomenal and really unique. It's funny, like lead singers are kind of like cats. You have a similar experience, but like you kind of, I don't know, you're maybe more, not cynical, but just you're wary of each other a little bit. And Mike is someone that I can just sink away the hours on the phone with, and we can just talk about everything, like just writing and being creative and songs and production, and he's got great war stories. So I love picking his brains.
That's a good thing. That's great.
Oh yeah.
Moving from Royal Blood, Queens of the Stone Age this summer with the Amazons. Are you guys excited for that?
Oh yeah, truly. I mean, the last time we were actually booked for almost the exact same shows last year, but Josh had a hernia. Okay. So we had to cancel it. It was out in Italy. So very excited to have a second shot at playing with one of our favourite bands.
Definitely,
one of our favourite bands.
What's your favourite Queens of the Stone Age song?
Changes a lot. I like Make It With You. I like Little Sister, obviously. I love Turning the Screw. Okay. I love Sat by the Ocean.
Okay, yeah, of course. Dare I go basic and say Song for the Dead just because of that drum opening?
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
And 666, that's good as well.
Great. Era Vulgaris is my favourite album. Okay. We were talking about this. We listened to them, I think we I was driving back from Brighton the other day and we listened to like a bunch of Queen's records in a row, and I think it's
That's
Era
your favourite?
Vulgaris. Yeah, I
Okay,
think so.
very good. So we've got that coming up for the Amazons this summer as well. And this is going to be a difficult one for you.
Yeah.
What's your favourite gig you've ever played?
It's usually not what you think it would be, because when you do like London shows like Brixton or Roundhouse, or they're always, or a big like a hometown show, your experience is kind of coloured by the pressure that you put on yourself. So it's more of like a get through the gig type thing. It's usually the ones on the tour where you're like, you roll up and it's like Bournemouth or whatever, or just somewhere that you are slightly off the beaten track of the major cities, or in a touring context.
Yeah.
And you're just confident and comfortable, and you just play exactly how you want to play. Can't deny Glasgow is always a great gig. Playing Barrowlands was special.
Oh, that would be special.
And we're coming back. SWG3, yeah, the TV studio place.
November 2nd.
That was a really good venue. I think we played 3 years ago there. I really enjoyed it. So it's inconclusive. I'll tell you the best gig I ever did. I was the bassist of like an emo pop punk band when I was like 14.
Okay.
And we played a battle of the bands at the local high school,
Right.
secondary school, and honestly, my body was like humming with adrenaline.
Really?
I was like in utter ecstasy, playing to about 20 people in a school hall, and I've been chasing that high ever since. I'm deadly serious.
Yeah.
It's literally never got better.
Really?
Yeah. I honestly couldn't play. My hands were tingling.
Moving on. Do you prefer intimate gigs or arena gigs?
Oh, arena every time.
Okay.
Yeah, every time.
And that's because you're chasing that feeling.
Yes, right. Yeah, exactly. It's novelty ultimately. So ask me the same question when we have been doing exclusively arena and stadium shows.
Yeah, and then you'll say intimate.
Basically, and then we'll be yearning for the kind of authenticity of like a little dive bar. But until then,
A little strip joint.
a little strip joint. Exactly.
So that's what we've got tonight
Yeah.
on the stage. That's funny, man.
It's gonna be great.
Yes. So what's some upcoming bands that excite you?
Well, you interviewed Keo,
I said.
which was a good win. That was a little win for you. That's
Yes,
good.
definitely.
Yeah.
And Matt said that he'd seen the Keo interview before
Yep.
I contacted the Amazons.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy.
It's good.
Because you wonder who else out there that I'm a fan of their music and their work and their albums that's seen stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you told me, oh yeah, the Amazons watched your YouTube video, I'd be like, yeah, funny. And you have.
Well, this is it, man. This
So-
is it. I saw it.
So you're talking about Keo and you like Keo.
I like Keo. I like Wonder Horse. I really like 198.
Okay, nice.
They're a Scottish based, aren't they?
Yeah, they're pretty good, yeah.
Swim School, another Scottish band from Edinburgh that we went on tour with. I don't know. I gotta be honest. The kind of explosion of post-punk bands hasn't really.
Has it not got you yet?
It's not got me.
Really? Okay, interesting.
Maybe I'm not the audience, or I don't know.
I think it's definitely, you have to like it to like it. It's like you either love it or hate it. And
And I think that's where the strength is, really,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's uncompromising and it's interesting. It's just that I'm not going to listen to that on the daily, you know.
Fair enough.
And that's not a reflection of them. It's more a reflection of my tastes or where I'm at with music.
yeah.
But I respect them all, because you've got to respect any act who is successful and uncompromising. That's
And they're
like the holy
changing-
grail.
It's like such a different style from any sort of music, I think.
Yeah,
like there's this
definitely.
band I went to see called Maruja,
Okay.
and it was in a venue in Glasgow called Stereo. Dead small, 300
Yeah,
people.
Stereo, yeah.
They're growing now. They've got like 100,000 listeners now. They're awesome. One of the best gigs I've ever been to. But they're like post-punk. They have a saxophonist, and the drums are insane. They're mental, but they're obviously not everyone's going to love them, but the people who love them love them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
So
totally.
That's definitely a thing with genres.
That feels like the story of the last 5 years for good guitar music has been that world. But I mean, well, listen to the music we make. It's not the same. So
everything's different.
Yeah.
You can change every song. And there's an interview with Jacob Slater from Wonderhorse, and it's a few years ago, just before they supported Fontaine's DC in 2022, and he's saying he hopes guitar music makes some sort of a comeback. I think it's definitely making a comeback now. In the upcoming years, a lot of the music you're seeing is just guitar music.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's good to see it back.
Yeah.
I think that Amazon's 21st Century Fiction is definitely going to contribute to that. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So that's what's coming up for music.
Fuck yeah.
Let's go. What's some advice for upcoming musicians? Some musicians who are just starting out in a local band, doing shows. What would you say to them?
It's really hard to give advice because everyone's journey is so different. Honestly, dude. If someone gives the idea that they know what's going on or knows the reasons why they've got to the point that they have, they're lying. They actually have no idea, because there's elements to this where you realize it's out of your control. You just have to be the most expressive and honest, authentic, exciting, uncompromising version of yourself, and then you have to literally see where it goes. Ultimately. I would say from that point of view, rather than like navigating the industry, especially now, I wouldn't know, man. I wouldn't know, because we put out an album. Our first album was in 2017, which wasn't that long ago. But my God, man, the demands of a campaign then and what would actually move the needle, different, really, really different to what it is now. So I wouldn't be able to give any sort of real advice in terms of navigating. But what I will say is study the greats. And not because it's not about like studying Nirvana or Led Zeppelin or the Beatles to like sound like them. It's just to know what's possible. It's just to know what you can possibly do. Like, especially I think with guitar music in the 70s, potentially slightly eye roll inducing when you talk about the Hotel Californias and things like that. Great music, of course, but it's the invention, it's the creativity, it's the risk taking, it's the vision. Like Born to Run's Bruce Springsteen like fits like a blockbuster film in like 4.5 minutes. Barbara O'Reilly, The Who, like sky's the limit.
And all that music is timeless.
Timeless, yeah, for sure.
Still carries through to today.
Study the greats, that's what I would say.
Study the greats.
Yeah.
There we go. Final question for you, Matt.
Yep.
What's the biggest dream for the Amazons? We've come far, we're going further. What's the biggest dream?
Great question. Because the danger with the longer that you're in this and all the obstacles and the trials and tribulations is that your dreams get smaller, or at least they get more realistic, or your soul is kind of ground down and you accept less. And the beautiful thing about like starting bands in your early 20s, it really is sky's the limit, and that's an amazing thing, and I don't want to ever give that up. So the dream for the Amazons is always to make the best work we can and see how far we can go, like see if there really is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You know what I mean? Like see if there is a promised land. Basically, because we were in the vehicle. That's why if we didn't believe that we could go somewhere completely beyond our imaginations, then why would you even start the band in the first place? But that might not be, maybe other people don't see it that way, but I definitely do, and I'm stuck.
You're stuck.
Me and Mike Robert had a conversation a few years ago when it's funny because it was two different ways of looking at the same thing, of like, I would ask him like, when you started, like, did you have dreams to play the O2 Arena or like that? And he was like, no. It
just happens.
He just said, we just put the band together, we did songs, and we've always just followed our notes creatively.
And that's where it took him.
And that's where it took him. And I was like, that was a real lesson for me, I think, of like, there's lots out of your control. So maybe make your dreams align with just what you can do creatively.
But as Queens of the Stone Age say, go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have a wee chat with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Good interview, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really good.
Thank you.